Hey, today I'm going to prove that the sine of x divided by x as x approaches, the limit of sine of x divided by x as x approaches 0 is 1. Okay, you got to, without using L'Hopital's theorem, I'm just going to use the sandwich theorem. So what is the problem here? Is that the sine of x when x is equal to 0, sine of 0 is 0, and when x is 0, x is 0. So it's going to be sine of 0, it'll be 0 divided by 0. And that's an indetermination. We got to determine what's happening. So I'm just going to use the sandwich theorem here to prove that the sine of x, the limit of sine of x divided by x as x approaches, I made a mistake here. It's as x approaches 0. I'm just going to erase this thing here. It's as x approaches 0. There you go. Okay, so this equals 1, but we have to prove it. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do first. I'm gonna compare all these areas right here. Okay, now here you got a radius that's equal to 1. All right, this is the unit circle. And what is the base of this triangle here? The base of the green triangle is going to be the base, which is 1 times the height. Okay, the height right here is just this height right here is just the sine of this angle. Okay, x in this case is an angle. All right, so x is an angle. So that'll be the area of that triangle in there. It'll be the base, which is 1, times the height, which is the sine of x divided by 2. Okay, this is less than the area, the triangle, plus this green area, this orange or red area right here. So when you add the green and orange or red areas, what you have is the area of the sector. Okay, so this whole thing in here is the area of this entire sector here. Now the area of the sector is the angle, which is in this case x, okay, divided by 2. Actually, it's going to be the angle times r squared divided by 2, but r equals 1 and 1 squared equals 1. So it'll just be the angle divided by 2. And this whole area is smaller than this entire area right here. Okay. Now this is a triangle. What is the base? The base is 1. The height is the tangent, okay, of x divided by 2. Now what is the tangent of x? The tangent of x equals sine. I'm just going to put s instead of writing sine. I'm going to sine of x divided by the cosine of x divided by 2. Okay. And for people that don't understand why this height right here is the tangent, well, you see, you got a right triangle here. Okay, you have this this big R in here. Well, I'm going to explain that in another video. Otherwise, this video is just going to get too long. But this this height right here, let me put the pen. This height right here, the height right here. Okay, this height equals the tangent. So it's the tangent times the base, which is 1 divided by 2. Great. Now what I'm going to do is to multiply this whole thing in here. This whole thing, I'm just going to multiply it by 2 divided by the sine of x. Okay. What's going to be? Well, sine of x, you got a sine of x here in the numerator and sine of x here in the denominator. You got a 2 here and a 2 here. So you're just going to simplify these two. It's just going to become 1. 1 is less than what? This 2 is going to simplify with this 2. Okay, here and here. And what you're going to be left with is x divided by the sine of x, which is less than this sine simplifies with this sine, and this 2 with this 2, okay? And all you're left with is 1 divided by the cosine of x. So here I'm just going to put 1 divided by the cosine of x. And now I'm going to check the reciprocal of all these things. So 1 is greater than sine of x divided by x, which is greater than cosine of x. Okay? Now here we go. The limit as x approaches 0 of 1 is just 1, because 1 here doesn't depend on x. Okay? The limit of sine of x divided by x as x approaches 0 is what we're trying to find out. The limit of cosine of x as x approaches 0, well, the cosine of 0 is 1. Okay? So we're just going to replace this thing here with 1. So what are you left with? 1's greater than sine of x divided by x, which is greater than 1. All this is actually related. Okay, I'm just going to say that's related. I don't know. That's not the correct symbol, but I'm just going to put the 0 here to the limit as x approaches 0. Okay, so what do you have here? Here you got a function 1. Okay, so see, as x approaches 0, let's think about this line right here again. As x approaches 0, 1 is 1, which is this function right here. Okay, it's just that function. The sine of x divided by x is some kind of function that's in here somewhere. We don't know what this function is doing. Okay, it's this. The function exists as the x is positive and as the x is negative. So this is the function right here. Now this part right here is the cosine of x. The cosine of x, I'm just going to put it in another color here. Okay, the cosine of 0 when x is 0 is 1. All right, and then well, it's this. And then the cosine is going to do something like this. Right? And it's going to do the same thing in here. And we'll just keep going. So this is the cosine. This is the cosine of x. Okay? Now what do you have here? This part is the sine of x divided by x, and this is the sine of x divided by x. You can see that as x, well, for all x's, as a matter of fact, the sine of x divided by x is going to be less than 1, and it's going to be greater than the cosine of x. So this function right here is going to be on top of this one, okay? And this function has to be below this one. So you see that as it gets closer to x equals 0, this function right here, doesn't matter what it does, it can do crazy stuff in here. But this function right here is going to get closer and closer and closer and closer because it's stuck between the two. And same thing here, it doesn't matter what it does. As it comes and comes and comes and comes, it's stuck between the two. So what is the sine of x divided by x as x approaches 0? X in this case being an angle. Well, the limit is 1, okay? And you can see that it's approaching y equal to 1 as it gets close to 0. And that's it. That's the sandwich theorem. Why? Because the sine of x divided by x is sandwiched between the function 1, which is constant, right? It's the function, horizontal function where y equals 1, and the other one is the cosine of x.